If anyone is promising you quick fixes or anything is promising you quick antidotes to your natural hair problems, please don't believe them. It's probably a gimmick or a marketing scheme just to get your money. Hey, welcome and welcome back. I am Nappy Valley, and this is another Detangle with me where I sit down and detangle my hair while I talk about something that is interesting to me. Today's topic is how to actually embrace your natural hair. If this topic is interesting to you, definitely stay tuned to the very end. And if you like product reviews, natural hair tutorials, and social commentary like this, definitely like this video and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my content. So without further ado, let's get into this video. Okay, so with this video, we may or may not actually get to the detangling portion of it. It depends on how long it takes to take out these. What made me want to make this video is my other detangle with me, I feel like are a little bit negative and a little bit like it's just me just criticizing people. So I decided to dedicate this one to something a little bit more positive, a little bit more uplifting. So that's why I'm making a video about how to properly and how to actually embrace and love your natural hair. And it's also perfect because it is February and it's Black History Month. I thought it was really suiting to record this video because accepting and embracing black hair has been a historic battle for probably more than hundreds of years. So that's why we're doing this. Coming up with the content for this video was kind of difficult because I feel like, at least for my natural hair journey, it was just a whole bunch of like slightly hating your natural hair or being extremely discouraged by the fact that your hair doesn't look like how you think it should look or how you want it to look, and just like nothing ever working out. And then one day everything just clicks and you just know how to do your hair. So I think today I am just going to talk more about what is preventing you from having that aha moment. It's really just like a whole bunch of like, and then one day you get it and then you're like, then it's just like a less of a The first thing, or the first reason why I think whoever's watching this video is having difficulty embracing their natural hair is that you don't allow yourself to experiment with your hair. I've been doing my hair since middle school, which was 2011. So basically 10 years. I've been doing my natural hair for 10 years. I have 10 years of horrible hairstyles. I have 10 years of failed hairstyles. I have 10 years of failed products. I have 10 years of a whole bunch of things. And that, in my opinion, is what helps me make better and more informed decisions. I have 10 years of experimentation that many of you who just started your natural hair journey, you guys don't have that. Like when you try to compare your hair to me or other natural hair influencers who have been natural for many years, it's kind of not fair because you haven't put in the amount of time that we have put in to learn our hair. And the second thing I want to say is just like experimentation is important when it comes to doing your natural hair because there's no other way of learning your natural hair. Like trial and error is your natural hair journey. I'm sorry for anybody who thinks they can get out of trial and error, but trial and error is your natural hair journey. So the more you trial and error, the better and more you'll understand your hair. And this point, the reason why it's first is because it's really important. Almost all of my other points go back to why this point is important, right? The second reason why I think it's so hard for people to embrace their natural hair is because they're too focused on what other people think about their hair. When I say that, I'm basically pointing out the fact that you have to be the barometer of what is working and what is not working. If you can't determine if a product works for you or you can't determine if your hair looks good or not, that means you haven't spent enough time with your hair. And because of that fact, people's comments, society's comments, whoever's comments about your hair can greatly affect you. You need to know your hair like the back of your hand. And the only way to do that is experimenting with it and giving yourself the time to experiment. And if you can't determine when your hair looks good, when your hair is moisturized, when you like a style, when a product looks good for you, you then look outwardly to try and get validation on whether or not your hair looks good or not. And that to me just isn't, it isn't the right way to go. I think when situations like that happens, it causes a lot of comparisons. And I think it causes a lot more, like, you know that saying, comparison is the thief of joy? And I feel like when you don't know what looks good for your own hair, you then start to compare your hair to others, or you look for others to validate that your hair looks good. And that's just setting yourself up for failure, because how you feel about your hair is now dependent on other people's thoughts and opinions rather than your own standards. So, and that goes back to the original point of why it's so important for you to learn your hair, because once you know your hair, nobody can tell you anything, and you won't be looking for other people's approval to feel good about your hair. The goodness of your hair comes from within, which is much more sustainable. The third reason why it's hard for you to accept your natural hair, and kind of what you have to get over to accept your natural hair, is you have to be okay with looking ugly. I know that sounds weird. You basically have to get over that hump of wanting and needing your hair to look neat or maintain. And the only way to do that is to be okay with your hair looking ugly. To just basically be okay with whatever your hair looks like when you do it, regardless if it comes out good or if it doesn't come out good. And this is important because if you don't get over that hump of needing your hair to look a certain way or look neat or look kept or look maintained, it's going to lead you to do things to your hair that's probably not good for it, because you're trying to look neat, presentable, nice, whatever. Again, because I started my natural hair journey in middle school, I could get away with being ugly because everybody was ugly, except for that like one girl that was really pretty and everybody liked her. Other than that girl, everybody was ugly in middle school. So I didn't have to deal with societal pressures of looking a certain way or looking presentable or looking attractive because I was in middle school. So for people who start their natural hair journey in high school, in college, post-college, like it's harder for y'all because you have to you have to learn your hair, on top of the fact that being attractive is more important the older you get, especially for women. So like that could be a potential reason as to why it's hard for you to embrace your hair, because like society's not letting you, because they're like, you need to look like this, and you're like, wait, I need to figure it out. And the only way to figure it out is allow yourself to look ugly. But yeah, so you just trust me, over time it's going to get better, but you just have to get over that hump. And once you get over that hump, it makes life a lot more easy. It makes life a lot easier. Just trust me. The fourth reason why it's hard for you to embrace your natural hair is because you want simple fixes for your natural hair problems. When you put more energy into quick natural hair routines that focus on how your hair looks rather than the health of your hair, it stops you from fully learning your hair, because it stops you from experimenting. It stops you from being able to determine what is good for your hair. It stops you from knowing your hair's needs. It stops you from knowing what you should change to improve your hair health. Things like that. Things that you would learn if you allow yourself to experiment and go through the trials and errors of your natural hair journey. It just stops the learning process altogether. It can cause you to do things that negatively impact your hair health for quick fixes or quick antidotes to your natural hair problems, or cause you to follow trends or fads that actually aren't that good for your natural hair, but they're selling you like a dream or a hope or a quick fix to this, that, and the third. And you're going to follow it. Why? Because you don't know anything about your actual hair. And so it's hard for you to determine what is good for your hair and what isn't good for your hair. Sadly, there isn't a better system to learn your natural hair other than trial and error. And I'm trying to make something so that it makes the process easier. But until that happens, Trial and error is your best friend, and you just have to do it to get to know your hair. So if anyone is promising you quick fixes or anything is promising you quick antidotes to your natural hair problems, please don't believe them. It's probably a gimmick or a marketing scheme just to get your money. Okay, great. The fifth reason why it's really hard for you to accept your natural hair is you either accept or reject natural hair advice too much. Let me explain. I've noticed this dynamic where natural hair people, especially type 4 naturals or 4C naturals, just blindly listen to all the advice that they're given because everybody's like, just do this and you'll get this result. Kind of like the last statement about, quick fixes to your issues, but whatever. Just do this, you'll get X, Y, Z results. Just do that and your hair will be moisturized. Just do this and your curls will pop or whatever. And then when you do these quick gimmicky type things to get your hair to be where you want it to be, and you realize that you're not getting the results that you want, then I feel like you go into this mode of just rejecting everything that anyone's telling you, even if it is good advice. I personally think that actively rejecting natural hair advice because you feel like people are lying to you, or just accepting all the natural hair advice because you're like, I don't know which one is best for me. Both of those situations, in my opinion, are not good. It's not a good place to be in. So to disrupt this type of dynamic, I feel like people who are starting out their natural hair journey should really, really focus on learning as much as they can about their hair as possible, so that they can be the determining factor of what is good and what isn't good for their hair. And it will be easier for them to determine whether or not someone's advice is good for them or not. Basically, I think a really good mindset to have when you start out your natural hair journey is whatever anybody tells you, always take it as a suggestion. Take it as like, oh, this is an experiment I can try out to see if it works or not. Because just because someone says it, it has the potential to be right. It also has the potential to be wrong. It is up to you to figure out what it is for your hair. My last reason why I think it's hard for people to accept their natural hair is that you don't have enough time to do your hair. I always say that if you don't have time to do your hair, that means you're probably not taking care of yourself the way that you should be. I also want to point out that society isn't really set up to support natural hair care. Like, think about it. It takes me, not including my 3-hour wash day, but it takes me about 4 days for my hair to dry if I do like a braid out, right? And if I had a 9 to 5, that would mean I would only have 2 days made available to me for my hair to dry, assuming that I have nothing to get ready for and nothing to do during those 2 days. So that leaves me 2 other days that I need in order for my hair to dry. So then this leads me to do things that are damaging to my hair because I don't have enough time and I'm rushing and I'm trying to get things to be in order for this tight schedule that I have, right? And like this leads to doing shortcuts and things like that because I don't have time. I just want to point this out because I don't want people to feel bad if they feel like they don't have enough time to do their natural hair. Like, sis, we all don't have time. We're not sitting here pretending like we have all the time in the world. Like, we all don't have time. We just kind of like make tweaks here and there to try and make things happen. And I also want to say that like it's not your fault that you don't have time. Society is literally not set up for natural hair care. It's not set up, because if it was, we would be able to wear bonnets wherever we want without social recourse or social judgment. Honestly, we should be allowed to wear bonnets. If I'm not meeting a customer, or if I'm not interfacing with somebody who I don't know and I'm trying to make a good impression, I should be able to wear my bonnet. But that's besides the point. Or like society doesn't allow for us to wear like our natural hairstyles that we wore when we were kids, because we're adults now, so we're supposed to do adult things. But those hairstyles are actually like, those hairstyles are optimal in terms of getting your hair to grow. So just understand it's not your fault. It's not your fault. But because we are in the society that we're in, we have to make adjustments so that our hair doesn't fall out. So when you think about natural hair care, you also have to be intentional about what you're doing and when you do your hair. That is part of, you also have to embrace that part. You got to plan when you do your hair because, you know, otherwise you're going to be stressed out. Like if I'm starting a new job or school is starting early, I would probably put a protective style just to make my life easier. Things like that. This is why natural hair care is a part of self-care, because if you aren't taking care of your hair, if you're not dedicating time to take care of your hair, you're probably also not dedicating time to take care of other aspects of your other aspects of self-care or yourself in general. So part of embracing your natural hair is also taking the time to take care of it. I'm just gonna come back to you when I'm done taking my braids out because I've said all I had to say, but I'm still halfway done, so I'll be back. Okay, so I took out all of my Marley hair, but yeah, basically those were my 5 or 6 reasons as to why I think people stop themselves from embracing their hair or having that aha moment when they finally get their hair and can do their hair without a lot of confusion. And so what do you guys think? Do you think I missed some things, or do you what's something that you think I should add in terms of like why I think people can't embrace their natural hair? But that is all I have for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm about to start my wash day. Thank God I need to wash my hair. And see you guys next week. Bye.